Alright guys, welcome back to Mr. Post Frame. My name is Paul. Today's video is going to be all about installing Versetta Stone on your Barndominium. Alright, so Versetta Stone is owned by Westlake Royal Pro. Versetta Stone is a manufactured stone panel. It goes up really easy. There's just a lot less steps than your traditional stone facades that you see on houses where you have to add mortar. There's just a lot more steps. So this is a great way to add a lot of character to your barndominium in a process that takes a couple days versus something that would take like a week and cost more money. The color we're using today is Mission Point. It's a tight cut stone panel. We're using two different panels. We're using, at our outside corner, we're going to use a universal corner, and then all the rest of the panels are just a standard interlocking panel. I will show you, I did not have very much waste at all with this job. This job was 96 feet long. We used it as a wainscoting. We put a wainscot cap on it, and then we went ahead and put it in between all the garage doors. So in today's video, we'll show you how we do all of that. But like I said, I like this product because it's a quick, easy way to really bring some character to your building. It's really easy to install. You just got to start out nice and level like you would with a normal siding, and then you just got to keep track as you build up. We only went 4 panels high, so it wasn't that big of a deal, but I have taken this all the way up to the top and covered the whole front of a house before. And it's just a matter of making sure you stay level as you go across. But before we get started, guys, if you want to design a barndominium, check out our design services. You can email us, design at Mr. Post Frame. We design barndominiums all over the country. Also, we have a self-build Patreon group. It's a group of other self-builders that we help achieve their goals. You get to share your build. We do lives. You get to ask me questions. So check that out. But let's get started in putting up this stone. So I'm just going to go through the different things that you might need to start. So this particular build, we are going to be running a cap across our wainscoting all the way. And so this will go across the top of the 4 layers of Versetta Stone, and it'll also be under the windows. So we'll show you how we deal with that under the windows. If you think about it, our typical wainscot is 36 inches, plus we got an inch for a square base, so these are 8 inches. So if we stack 4, that's 32 inches. We got 2.5 here, so that's 34.5. So we have to make up roughly an 1.5 inches, 1 5/8 on our side steel. So we make sure whenever we do Versetta Stone that we add that dimension to our side steel links. Some things you'll need some adhesive. If you want nice looking outlet boxes, they make some. I'll use these for water spigots. These are just vinyl that we can work in there if a client wants water spigots. And then I make up angles. This is 1/8 inch angle. I think it's 1.5 by 1.5, or maybe it's 2 by 2. But you'll need some angle to hold your sills up below the windows, because if you look at this, the mounting or screw flange is on top. So we have to cut that off so it can butt up below the window. So then we have to have a way to mount these, so we use angle to hold those in place, glue and angle. And then we have 2 different kinds of pieces. This is just your standard piece, the interlocking. It's got the interlocking flanges here. And then we have a universal corner, which has finished ends. So the only place I typically will use these is on the corner of the buildings. If we're butting up against some J or a door, we will cut the piece where we need it. And then you don't have to, but if you get some, Rust-Oleum actually makes some textured paint. If you get something that comes close and you just lightly spray this, it really makes the ends look good, what you can see, because a lot of times you can't see a whole lot of it, but it is nice to touch it up just to add that detail. We fasten all our panels with screws. These are actually screws from Versetta Stone. Another thing you can do, instead of adhesive, like when you slide pieces underneath the sill that don't have a nailing flange, I'll either use some spray foam behind there, just a little dab of spray foam that adheres to the wall, adheres to the panel, and it just takes any rattle out that you might have. So I guess that's about it. We're going to go ahead and get going, and we're going to start here at this corner. Alright guys, so step one is we have this starter strip that we have to put on. So what we're doing is we're snapping a line where our side steel will come down to, and we're going to have 4 courses plus a cap. So we want to make sure that we start this exactly where we need to so that our steel fits. So that's what we're working on now, snapping all our lines. We'll kind of run 4 courses and the cap to make sure we're going to land correctly, and then we'll get our starter strip on all along. Alright, so a couple things here, guys. We have, this is our original wainscot line. This is where our top steel would come down to normally. But like I talked before, we come up about 1.5 inches, 1 5/8 short. So we have to make that piece longer. So what we'll do is we put our starter strip on. See, that's there. Then we run tar paper down that sits inside that. That way if any water gets behind there, it sheds and goes out the bottom. This does a couple things. One, it helps shed water. They recommend having it behind here. And 2, if there's any, like along windows, doors, it will hide. You won't see the white house wrap. You'll just see a dark black. So, I mean, you'd have to really be looking, but it is a nice thing to do. But mostly this is just to shed water and protect your structure. We know the dimensions of all these pieces, but I do like to kind of stack them all together because it's kind of hard to figure out how much you're going to gain on those seams. So we did that. We lined up our sill where it went, and then we kind of reverse stacked them all the way down, put our starter strip on, marked it, so we knew right where we were going to be. And it was probably about a 1/4 inch difference than if we just measured and used that. So that is something to keep in mind. It is helpful to actually stack the stone there to see what it actually is going to be versus just taking the measurements, because there is going to be a little gain in between each piece. So you can see here we left this piece out and then butted this one into it. That's where the universal corners come in handy. And then the next row, this piece will hang over to here and this one will butt into it and it'll stagger. So now we can just keep, I'm going to put that piece on because the next one is going to be longer over here, shorter over here. And that's about it. And I'll just keep checking with my level to make sure I'm running level. I have these lines across here that I can check to make sure that I'm staying consistent all the way across. Money in the bank. This tab I'm going to have to knock off because the piece that it's butting into is a cut piece, so it won't have anywhere for this tab to go. So we'll have to knock that off. So I'm measuring across, I come here, and we land right here. So it's in the middle of this piece of stone, so that'll work good. You just don't want to end up like close to this line or this line because it would look goofy. So just keep that in mind also. You can get concrete saws that are meant for this. I just put concrete blades on this. I have had to change the bearings on this one time, but it works really well, and we aren't really going to have to make a ton of cuts. And then as far as our rip cuts go, I put a concrete blade on my table saw and I use that. So let's take the claw of our hammer. That's all we gotta do. Make sure that's flush there. Flip it over. If you turn your piece so the finished side is down, hit it like that, it just adds a little texture to your piece and it just looks a little more natural in my opinion. So you can see this little locking tab here. In this case, we have we haven't cut off this one, so we can just leave this tab on and it'll kind of interlock in there. I gotta break that one off. I guess I just put it right.
Might as well put it right there, right?
Huh?
Might as well put it right there.
Yeah, I'll have to knock that off. Just glue that thing in there. Probably be the easiest thing to do. Might have to take just a hair off the top just because just catching right there. Alright guys, so on post frame construction, the way you have to prepare for Versetta Stone is a little different than if you're building a stick frame where the whole structure is OSB. If you're going to run OSB up the whole side, then it's not a big deal. What we do is, since we have windows that intersect our wainscoting, we have to set our plywood flush with the edge of our gird. So we got 3/4 inch plywood, we have 3/4 inch plywood strips, and then we have a 2x4 here. So we fasten this 2x4 to our wainscot gird and our grade board, tack in this 3/4 inch filler, and then we can attach our 3/4 inch plywood to that every 2 feet, and that gives us a nice flat surface. That way it doesn't mess up our trims for our windows when we're running them down. Good so far. Yes. Oh man, that's great. All right, so when I start my first course, I'll put it in the starter strip, screw the right side, get a measurement up to my line, then I come over here to the left side of the panel, make sure that that measurement is identical up to the line, screw it, and then my next panel will just line up flush with this, and I keep doing that all the way down, and then I should end up with a nice level first course. And then the only thing you have to really pay attention to as you go is just every once in a while check your measurement. It's real easy if like from one panel to the next, if it's off like a 1/16 and 1/8, you can get some rock in that panel. So just make sure they keep going level. You know, it's not going to be absolutely perfect, but that's the point of this. It's rough looking, it's rustic. And then when you put your cap on, I always run a level across it. The caps have a little bit of a hump in them, but the trim I use is we have it bent, so at a slight angle, so when you push it down, you kind of push down on it to kind of make sure it's got some spring against the top cap. So when I get this first course done, I'll run the second course, and then I got to do my sills underneath these windows. Alright guys, so we're getting ready to do the sill. You need a few things. You need your top cap, and then the nailing flange actually comes up. We cut that off because you got to be able to push it up against the bottom of your window. So that's the first step, is we get that all cut off. Then we also file this little ledge off the bottom, because what we're going to do is we're going to put some adhesive right here, and then we have two angles. This is 1/8 inch by 2 inch angle. And these will get screwed on like that to hold this cap up. So that's kind of what you need. Luckily these are 36 inch wide windows. I have a 36 inch wide cap. I just have to trim a little off the ends. This is the best way I've found to do it. That you get a really good solid installation where you're not worried about it coming off. We're going to take this, we're going to rock this up. This is where two people come in hand. Press that all the way up. And that's already nice and solid. Doesn't even move. Basically pinches it up against here. We got glue in the back. We got glue on the top of the angles. And so that's all nice and solid. Now, I'll measure from my angle down to here, which is 3 7/8, and I'll cut a piece just the width of this window, slide it in here, and then I usually use a little spray foam behind there. I put a little shim up here to hold it tight, spray foam it, and then that spray foam adheres to this and to my panel, and it turns out really nice. Alright, so now, hypothetically, I should slide in. Then, what I do, I take a shim. This can't come out because the bottom is in this groove down here. And the top, if it tries to tip out, it's going to hit this. But what we do is I'll stick a shim in there to keep it tight. Get it where I want it. And I take some spray foam and I shoot it in behind it, and what that does is it attaches to the wall, to that piece of stone, and it doesn't let it move. You can use like glue too, but I like using the spray foam because it goes in there and expands. And I don't know, if you ever need to get it off, it'd probably be easier to get this off than it would the glue. I'll clean that off. The other side. Two more pieces here. Should be able to cut them the same. 34 1/8. 34 1/8. Alright, so all of this Versetta Stone is done, and this is my pile of scrap. And a couple of these are full pieces that just had some hairline cracks in them that you probably could use on other projects if you wanted. So really, the only unusable stuff here is from here over. That's it. And that was 96 feet. And then we have 3 feet, 2 feet, 2 feet, and 3 feet. So when you really think about it, that's not too bad to have only that much waste with this product. That's another thing that makes it so amazing is if you do it right, you can really save some money in just the amount that you have to buy. Alright guys, so in closing, I just wanted to give you an idea how long this took me. I have about 13 hours in this job, and it was about 315 square feet. I did have a couple of my guys snap a line where steel would come to. Then we measured down, we put our starter strip up, and our roofing felt. You want to put some roofing felt behind this, so if any wind or rain gets behind there, it can shed the water. And then I did the rest by myself. So Literally in a day and a half, I did 315 square feet of this, and it turned out amazing. We will come back in a later video and show how we finish off above this wainscot cap. We just have a custom built trim made. But this is a great way to sharpen up your build. So if you're interested in that, check out Versetta Stone. You won't be sorry. It's a great product. And from my experience, it lasts and it looks amazing. So with that being said, guys, as always, we appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, share us with your friends, and we'll catch you on the next video.